What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bling Talks. We have Doug Meadows, founder, visionary, and hero maker of David Douglas Jewelers in Marietta, Georgia. Thank you so much for being on with us, Doug. I can't wait to talk to you.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. So at the beginning, I usually like to tell people, just give us the name of the company, tell us, what you guys do, where you're located, just the real basics of it.
Sure. Yeah, it's David Douglas Diamonds and Jewelry in Marietta, Georgia. My brother's Dave. I'm Doug. We put our names together to get the David Douglas. We're just having a good time up in Marietta, Georgia. It's working out well.
Yeah, I definitely took a look at the website, took a look at your guys' history, and I loved it. And I would love for you to tell a little bit about your guys' history and how that brand became in the fourth generation.
Sure. I mean, I grew up in a family business of jewelers. My grandfather started us up in Detroit in 1926, and he had a trade shop, which the terminology we use in our industry to basically it's a wholesale repair business. A lot of retail jewelers didn't have a jeweler on premise, and so they would send the diamonds to be set, the chains to be soldered, and the rings to be sized to somebody like my grandfather in a trade shop to do all the work and then send it on back. And then my dad and uncle took that over in the 60s, and then I apprenticed in the 70s. I got tired of the cold and snow up in Michigan in the 80s, and I made the flight down here to Atlanta, Georgia. Went into partnership with a buddy of mine. We ended up borrowing and stealing from all of our friends and family, and we ended up buying a retail jewelry store in Cumberland Mall here. I was 23 years old and clueless what I was doing. My dad raised me to be a jeweler, but he didn't raise me to be a businessman. A couple of years, we successfully ran that into bankruptcy. And then that's when I talked my brother Dave into moving on down from Michigan, and then we went into partnership together. We still struggled learning the business stuff, but we sought out a lot of wisdom from a lot of people that were a lot smarter than us and began to learn what it meant to be a retailer. I always call myself a third generation jeweler, but a first generation retailer. As most family businesses, you always bring your kids into the business. And I had 5 kids and I made them all give it a shot. And I had one that stuck, and that's Joseph. He's been working with me for probably 20 years now, and he's only in his young 30s. So he started very young. When he was 13, I had him learn Matrix, the CAD/CAM software for our industry. And now he's a very astute CAD designer, won quite a few awards, and is sought out for speaking engagements and training on the software now. But I don't know, about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we landed in our latest location, which is in a strip shopping center. We got about 2,600 square feet. We're in between a major grocery store called Publix down here in the south. And then on the other side, we have a Crunch Fitness. And we're just really enjoying what we're doing. And it's been working out well.
Love it. Yeah, I saw Joseph on the site, and I also saw him on the YouTube video. Really cool to be able to have a CAD designer in-house and then also be able to have some of the craftsmanship, A to Z kind of within those 4 walls is quite the customer experiences, and it's reflected in some of the reviews. But I saw that all. And plus, I'm a Florida guy, so go Publix.
There you go.
I really live in Tampa, so just bouncing around right now. But yeah, amazing stuff. And I guess it's a good segue into another question. You guys, you mentioned some awards in the CAD and all that type of stuff. You guys are really artisan focused and community centered. Definitely have some craftsmanship and pride in that area. Can you kind of tell us how you guys have kept the traditional craftsmanship and design and all that stuff, but still able to adopt such technologies like CAD and lab growns? And, how do you kind of keep it traditional, but stay ahead on the cutting edge as well?
Right. I'm a technology junkie. I've always, been challenged by technology, computers. I love Excel. And I homeschooled my kids. Mainly my wife did, but the both of us, we homeschooled our children. There was 2 softwares that was critical that they learn. One was Excel, and then the other was Photoshop. On top of it, to have good keyboard skills. I've just always loved creating and designing jewelry. And, as new tools came to help us do it, it was like you give them a shot and you give them a try. But I've always sought out hidden talent. And so I'm always looking for an apprentice to work for us that is hungry to learn and stuff. And so, I got a couple stories just on two apprentices that come to mind. One of them is Abby. Abby came to us and she was going to school, an art school up in South Carolina, and she was home for the summer. And so we brought her in, we apprenticed with her, and she was showing me some of the cool stuff. And she was old school. I mean, she just hand fabbed stuff, beat it with a hammer, and did some really cool, unusual things. And so I challenged her to create a small collection. She put together about 36 items. We put them out in the showcase and they sold like hotcakes. And so then I challenged her to up her price point on it. She was just doing sterling silver. I said, let's throw some gold into it, some gemstones, and kind of fast forwarding. She's now spread her wings and got her own studio and got her own website. And she still sells her stuff in our store and graces us with her presence every now and then. She's a real proud success story for us. And on a crazy note, she married my nephew. And so now she's my niece.
No way.
Yeah. And
That is wild.
Then I had another one that approached me. She was going to school at the New Approach in Tennessee with Blaine Lewis. She was an amazing sketch artist. And so we ended up giving her an iPad with Procreate, and she is phenomenal on that. And so a lot of times she'll have a conversation with a customer, sketch it all out, and then give that sketch to Joseph, and then Joseph will throw it into the CAD and, give that customer that 3D feel. On top of that, she has perfected her skill in hand engraving, pave work. And so she does some incredible work, hand engraving and stone setting. She pretty well handles the majority of our high-end custom work. She's my main go-to on that. We just hired another guy from Venezuela that does a lot of hand fab and hand creation. And I love the artistry side of the jewelry industry. And, I've been going to India a lot lately and going to Surat and Jaipur and Mumbai. And I'm watching these guys put this stuff together, and they're just setting stones in wax and casting them in place. And it just breaks my heart because it's like, that's just not jewelry. To be able to watch somebody hand fabricate something. I went to Africa a while back in Zambia. Zambia is rich with emeralds. And I went into a shop there and just watched these artisans hand cut these emeralds and then create a hand fabricated mounting for it. It brings me a lot of pride to see a lot of this handcrafted stuff and people that love the artistry of our industry and bringing it back to life a little bit. But on the flip side, it is really nice to work with a CAD piece. Back in the day when we had to hand carve it, you would hope all your stones fit. And now you can, measure them all up and make sure that they all fit just beautifully. And so a lot of times we combine that mixture between a CAD piece and then add in some hand engraving to it to give it that artistry. But I think Joseph has really forefronted a lot of that, maintaining that artistry within our designs and stuff. And then we also seek out creative designers. We work a lot with Chris Plouffe. He does a lot of hand fabrication and old-fashioned Damascus steel and maki-me and things like that. And we enjoy those types of artists and be able to share that with our community.
I think it would be really weird if that was true, but I think I had somebody on the podcast this morning, and I almost think they said that same name.
Oh, really?
My notes, but that was just a really good, thorough answer on really how you guys balance the two and kind of leverage both of them in great ways. Technology is definitely here. We're definitely in AI. There's definitely some changes coming to the industry, even just from designing. I think manufacturing is definitely going to be a part of it as well, a little bit later down the line. And there's definitely, the first layer, which is how businesses absorb it and employees are using it and things like that. So it looks like you guys are really running with the CAD stuff. What have you guys, as far as the business and staff and all that type of stuff, what do you guys know about AI, or have you guys kind of dove into it at all, or is it something you guys have started using in some fashion?
I almost use it every day, literally to ask questions, to find answers, help me with formulas on my spreadsheets, different things like that. But we've been really looking into a lot of the technology out there with AI. in relationship to computer, creating a design. It's been really interesting to see, what AI can do when it comes to designing a piece of jewelry and just giving it a few parameters or giving it some things to feed off of, showing it a few designs, uploading a few ideas, and then just saying, I want to see this way. And it just blows me away what it produces for you. It's a brand new field for us, and we're looking for any education training. I've been going to some different classes on it that have been offered at some of the trade shows to learn more about it. Some of the vendors now are incorporating it into their design efforts of, their customization efforts that they're offering. I mean, there's no telling where that's going to go. It's going to explode and be incredible stuff.
I've been using it. Well, I've been using it. We've all been using AI for a whole lot longer than we know.
Right. Sure.
Essentially, for the last 10, 12 years, we've all been entering our data into search engines or social platforms. And in the background, those are the type of powerful algorithms that we're running, gathering data and learning.
Yep.
So I think they've released it, but I do feel I know there's governors on it. I mean, there was things that I was able to do 15 months ago that I won't do now. Like it will slow it down. So they're kind of gauging it a little bit.
Right.
Election, we're going to see the release of Sora and a lot more powerful things. Like Sora will be from OpenAI. That'll be the video side of things, and it's pretty awesome. That's going to change a lot of industries, and it's definitely going to change marketing and business and content creation and being able to get messages across and things like that. So that's fascinating. You're probably the only guy. You're probably the only guy that is like ever using it, that responded like that, using it every day. It is addictive. Have you ever seen the Limitless movie with Bradley Cooper?
No, I haven't seen that one.
He's like a failing writer. His wife leaves him. He looks like he's like I think he's almost homeless.
Yeah.
Taking a pill from some guy or whatever. And the next day he writes the book. He can read the stock market. He's learning new languages. You got to watch it. It's a great movie. But that's kind of what I would kind of relate it to. I mean,
well, the other areas that we've been looking into with it is, simple things like helping with responding to a Google review, just giving us some ideas of how to respond to it. I used it for an analysis on our website just to make sure that our content was portraying the right persona that we wanted to present on all pages. But it just blew me away, all the different things that you can do with this stuff.
Yeah, it's endless, and
the
better you get at using it, the more powerful it becomes too. So
right. I'm heading out to Salt Lake on Sunday to go visit Podium. We use Podium in the Edge, and Podium is opening up a whole lot of new AI type stuff with their phone systems and their web chat and our inventory, to where, it can look up inventory product on our website. So if somebody is chatting in the middle of the night looking for a sapphire ring, it'll curate, some ideas for them. So I'm excited to learn more about it.
Podium, we see a lot of people with Podium and the Edge and a few other connections there. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they have there, and also want to show you a couple of the things we got as well. Okay. So, but we typically use Podium as well in a lot of areas, and works well for a lot of different things. A lot of people use it for different stuff though.
Yeah.
Just use it for like texting. Some people use it max efficiency, but that's a great program. I saw that, as well as Punchmark as the website. I was going to ask about the the Edge software. So that's all great stuff. You guys have definitely been around for a while. You got a few generations under your belt for sure. I can look at a business and look at a website and see a few things very quickly. You guys have had some great success. Organically looked very good. Website presence looks very good. Social media was definitely above average. It's great success over there. What has been your number one marketing strategy or growth strategy? It could be from events to community, but what gets that door open?
So one of the things that I learned early on is, you can't just wait for people to walk in your door. You got to figure out ways to go get them in your door. I tried a lot of different things. And one of the things that has stuck and has worked very well for me, we have a writing contest in our local elementary school called Dazzling Diamonds for Mom. And the kids write and tell me why their mom deserves a diamond. So we've been doing this for 21 years. And I'm doing it mainly to commemorate my mom that passed of cancer over 34 years ago. And, my dad, did his best to try to teach me to honor my mom. And so I'm trying to pass that legacy on to the kids in our community. And so they write and tell me why their mom deserves a diamond. And this past year, we had over 7,800 letters from all the kids. And we give a diamond away to every grade level. So we give away 6 diamonds because we're inviting kindergartners through 5th graders to participate. I also decided, when I was a kid and I entered a contest, I always wondered, does anybody win these things? And so I wanted to make sure that every kid that participates saw that somebody in their classroom won something. And so they all get a free gemstone. And so we invite over 27 schools in our community, and that's over 400 classrooms. And not only do we invite them, but we also invite all the teachers. We thank them at the end of the contest and give them some free coupons to come on into the store to get some fun stuff. We'll get probably 200 to 300 first-time customers every year doing this. And over probably, I think we did an analysis, the lifetime value of the past 9 years was over $300,000 in sales from all this stuff, from getting to meet us and then coming back at Christmas time or coming back at their next event in their life. And so building a long-lasting relationship, working in the schools has been, a huge plus for us. And then, after 21 years, we're even starting to see some engagement rings come out of it. Kids that won a gemstone or a diamond are now, they're coming to age and it's time for them to buy a diamond, So those types of things have been really fun to participate in. But also just having a focus, looking, I used to try to think I was going to be everything to everybody. And I picked 3 categories that I wanted to focus in on. And that was the bridal industry, the anniversary gifts, and the self-purchasing woman. And so I took those 3 things, and then we try to focus all of our marketing efforts just around those 3 things and try not to get distracted doing things that aren't going to, fuel those parts of the business. So that's, I think, what's helped us out quite a bit.
Wow, that was awesome. Killer, cool, good intent, great. I wouldn't even think that maybe you'd call that a campaign. I would say that's definitely community involvement, but the result definitely campaign talk. And I loved how you said you can't be everything to everybody, so you focused on 3 things, which was engagement, anniversaries, and then self-purchasing woman.
Yeah.
So just kind of wanted to reiterate that that's hard to do, I guess, in any business, is to focus on, one audience over the other.
Right.
So that worked out very, very well for you.
Yeah.
That is just probably one of the coolest dang campaigns I've ever heard of. Dad, actually, I was just back here. He just finished radiation, so he's wrapping that up.
Yeah.
And Mom's had breast cancer prior,
Mm.
so I am sorry to hear that, of course, but
Yeah.
definitely did something very cool with it. So,
It's kept her memories alive for me, so it's been fun.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, God bless. That's amazing. So, over the years, what are some of the major challenges that you've faced? Can be anything. Can be anything. Yeah. So I'll start with that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, it's a roller coaster ride the whole time. You can't ever coast. You get to where you think you're doing really well and you think, oh, finally I can rest or I can just relax and enjoy it, but you can't. You got to be on your game all the time. Some of the big learning curves for me going through a bankruptcy was a huge learning curve at a very young age. Probably 15 years ago, I got myself in trouble with sales tax and the government came in and shut me down. And what's crazy is probably 3 months before all that happened, Joseph was 18 years old. We'd got him his own corporation so that he could be a service bureau doing his CAD work, doing his 3D printing with the models and stuff. And so we literally just flipped the switch and reopened the store the next day under his corporation and kept it going. But it was a very emotional day for me. It's needless to say.
Wow. That is a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah. But we were able to, it wasn't that I was trying to get out of paying the government. I owed it to them. I made the mistake. of using them as a lending institution, trying to use them for my bank. And that's the worst thing you could ever do in your life and the most expensive mistake of my life. But, I learned a lot from it and we got them paid back up and I've never been late again on any of my tax payments. And, it's allowed me to put a lot of good systems in place to make sure that that never happens again. But, and I've also, one of our strategic intents that we have for our business is to be intentional about being profitable, but also about honoring and blessing all who God brings our way. And for me, the people that are coming in my door, my customer is one, but my employees are also very important to me and also my vendors. It's very important to honor and bless your vendors, your customers, and your staff. And, be intentional about it and work hard at trying to make sure you do it. And sadly, within our industry, I think we abuse vendors mostly, but then, some people really take advantage of their staff and sadly, even some people really mess with their customers. But, you got to be very intentional and very focused on it to make sure that you do take good care about all these people.
It's a really good point, especially in the jewelry industry. There's ratings and there's
Yeah,
family owned and operated business. There's only so much wiggling and back and forth. People do this before it's kind of obvious.
right.
You're either good in the doing good business or you don't. And I feel like having that good intent really does flourish over a long period of time.
Yeah,
You don't see it day to day, but you definitely see it over time. And it's just the right way to live. It's just the right
yeah,
way.
yeah,
And I think there's anybody can sit here and say that, oh, they cover all the bases of business, but sometimes watching cash flow or not knowing, a burn rate that's coming in can be detrimental to the business. You can't
yeah,
have a million set of eyes on things. And I think you took it, turned it into something great. I think it was meant to be God given that Josh, the son was there to do that. And looks like you've created a lot of good in the community with it. One of the things that I've used to scale up my businesses, especially when you're doing multiple markets and every ride that's going out is has 12 people on it and it's anywhere from 2.5 to a $10 million vessel. You're doing 100 of them across the 10 different states, different departments. Was traction. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but traction
yeah,
POS, that was a major tool that we had to put in place
yeah,
to go from hardworking dudes,
yep,
and hardworking team and Excel sheets to, okay, we see a leak in the bucket here,
right.
see a leak in the bucket. What's going on? We're about to have problems, or we're on our way. We can do this, and so those systems and things like that, I think, are paramount. I think they're definitely the difference between being a small, medium, large business, but also a controlled and peaceful business. So that's outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, I went to a growth seminar that they talked about is, for a company to get from 1 million to 2 million, usually it takes that the owner has to learn to delegate. And, it's really hard. And that's why a lot of, jewelry stores might peak out at 1 million, 1.5 million, or even 2 million, because they're having a hard time delegating. And you can't delegate without having those systems and processes in place, having that entrepreneurial operating system that you're referring to there. And then, so one of the things that helped me was getting a virtual assistant in the Philippines. And so I have my virtual assistant. We have a meeting every morning. And, it was, I don't know, I don't want to say scary, but I was like, man, what am I going to do with this virtual assistant for 40 hours a week? And I tell you, I keep her snowed under.
They're good.
They're
Very,
amazing. I mean,
very.
it literally changed my life and helped me get my life back a little bit and just get all the garbage that I used to do that I don't need to be doing this, and then she's also helped with those processes and systems to get them all documented and, help me to implement things and help me do data analysis. I mean, it's just been incredible.
Yeah, that's the life equity thing that we try to focus on.
Yeah.
Get the guy around to golf every once in a while, or
Yeah.
a couple of those or let's figure out, hey, we're in the store from Tuesday to Thursday from 4 to 6, and it's all engagement ring appointments. Other than that,
Yeah.
that's just great. The VA thing is like a cheat code.
Yeah.
People don't use them in the jewelry industry as much as they should.
Oh, I know.
Well, that's definitely something I think that the community will benefit from. and hopefully they take that advice and that little nugget there.
Yeah.
So you guys definitely focus on sustainable and ethical sourcing. If you'd like to touch on that, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something you
Sure.
guys kind of had on the forefront. So
Yeah. I love the idea of American made. Growing up in Detroit, built in Detroit, those types of ideas. I mean, we carry Shinola watches that are all kind of put together up there in Detroit. And so I started actually looking years ago at the idea of, could I make American made jewelry with American product? And so we started sourcing gold from Alaska, sapphires from Montana. If we needed some diamonds, we'd get them from Alaska so that it would be all North American made goods. And then my designer would create stuff and we'd fabricate it in Marietta, Georgia. But, looking at the idea of, part of it was just the rude awakening that, there's dirty gold out there, and didn't even know what that meant or what that was. And then once you realize it, it's like, we don't really need to keep mining gold necessarily, but, we got all this recycled gold that we can work with nowadays. Stellar does a really good job with the recycled gold. And then just, making sure that, I remember years ago, the Stamp Act law, to where, jewelry needs to have a carat stamp and then a manufacturer stamp in it. And I would have manufacturers come in, mainly at the time from India, that, they had neither one of them in there, and they're telling you it's 14 karat. And it's like, and I would just show them the law. I said, if you want to sell here in the US, unfortunately, there's nobody to police this other than the retailer.
right.
And you have found one that is going to, be adamant about it. And so, we make sure that when we partner with a vendor that we can, validate traceability on different product. And, Columbia Gem House was one of the first to initiate fair trade gemstones years ago. And there was really no definition. Eric had begun to try to figure out a way to identify what does it mean to be fair trade. And at the time he had, I think, like 3 levels to where he can validate, he's been to the mine, he's seen the conditions, he knows what's coming out of the ground, he knows, from start to finish what's going on with that gemstone, and he can validate that that's been a fair trade all the way around. And then he has the next level is where it's been validated by good, reliable sources, because he can't be everywhere and go everywhere. So he has to trust, some of his people that he does business with over there to help validate things. And then there's other gemstones where it's like, I have no clue where this came from, and I can't tell you much about it. But the thing that he kind of released me of was the idea that, we'll start somewhere. You don't have to make the whole store, fair trade. You can just have begin with a small collection, start somewhere, to where 100% of the source. And then, there's other things where we, just have to trust what they do. I've been to stellar settings a lot of times, and the investment that Matt does on, just validating that the diamonds are real and not lab grown. The Kimberly process that we have out there to help us on the diamond side. And, I love Canadian diamonds because then, I know, it's come out of the Canadian mines and there's no blood diamonds up there at all. It's too cold to have a blood diamond up there. But so, just trying some of those different things, trying to partner up with different associations and organizations out there to learn more, to try to stay educated on, what is going on in our industry, what is the bad stuff, I guess, that's happening that we're clueless about, and how can I protect myself, or really protect the consumer, that what we're providing them is what we say it is.
So you guys have been in business for a long time. You guys have another generation. Obviously, you have 700 something plus great 5-star reviews. How do you want to grow the business moving forward?
That's a good question. I think we all struggle with growth and where's that next $1 million going to come from and stuff. But, for me, a lot of it is just developing my staff a little bit better. Anytime I'm looking at what I'm not totally happy with, the first thing I have to look at is myself, and what am I doing to help build that or promote it or measure it or do whatever. And, I think there's multiple things. There's never one thing that's going to make you grow, but we're focusing in on just little things, what's our closing ratio and what kind of activity are we doing to get new customers in the door? How are we clienteling? We've been developing what we call the bridal journey, to where when a customer comes in and they buy their engagement ring, that's just the beginning. How can we engage with them to get the wedding band sale, get the anniversary gifts, get the birthday gifts, moving forward for a lifetime. And then just on the marketing side, just really playing with more and more things. Video is huge, and we've dabbled in it a little bit, and we're going to be exploring some different ideas on different ways to do video in the store. It'll be more conversations with me and Joseph, just sharing different stories or educating customers. One of the books I read, They Ask, You Answer, was very valuable to us, making sure that our website answers the questions that our customers are asking. Just trying to gather up a lot of those types of questions, but, constantly looking at what marketing is working out there, measuring some of that kind of stuff, and seeing, what can we do? We're looking at better ways to be more involved in the community, because you got to look at ways to get outside your door. I mean, I think sadly, so many jewelers, they just think all they got to do is put the shingle up and open the door, and then people just start pouring in. And it's like, no, you got to find a way to get them in the door.
Good service, good selection ain't gonna cut it anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it helps, but you're never going to get so far with that.
Well, the point is,
But,
everyone says that. Everyone.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's outstanding. I definitely think you're on the right path with video, dabbling in that, testing out some marketing stuff. I definitely saw a lot of great growth. And I also saw some really good, massive opportunities for growth as well that I'd like to share. Yeah, we could do that, definitely another time. You guys are doing it, I think you've been through a few generations here, definitely a few decades. And I think there's a lot that people can learn from you. If you had one piece of advice to leave the community with, and then, you can just kind of let people know, hey, this is who we are and where you can find us if you need me.
I mean, I think you got to learn to delegate and get yourself a virtual assistant. I mean, it'll change your life. If you can start giving away some of the roles and responsibilities that you do, and then get yourself some help, it'll change your life. But we're David Douglas Diamonds. We're in Marietta, Georgia. The best thing to do is just go to our website, daviddouglas.com. All of our contact information's there. Happy to talk with anybody. So we're here to help.
Doug Meadows, it was a pleasure to meet you.
You too, Anthony.
So much for your time. I really mean that. And I look forward to building a relationship with you and having you as part of our community. And I hope to see you guys continuing to go for generations to generations. You guys have done something amazing, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.